Thanks very much for being here. Just wonderful to see everybody. And amid hopes for a little bit more peace, we'll see what happens. Let's just do that. Of course, we have to first optimize. Can't fail to optimize. Okay.
That was magnificent, powerful. We have a true friend of Israel. There's something that I would like to do. You refused. Very important moment here as the governor of Samaria, Yossi Dagan, and governor of Benjamin Yehuda, Israel Gantz, want to speak a blessing over you.
This happened the past week. Always news of the week that you don't hear about anywhere else.
All of that, there is a blessing that they want to pray over you.
I guess it was not a
Ambassador Huckabee, before the blessing, we are so exciting, all the people here exciting to see you here in Jerusalem, in Israel. God bless you, our partner. We love you. And especially in these not easy days of war, the simple gift, the voice of prayer, the shofar from Samaria, with my friend Israel Gantz, together, we appreciate. And I must tell you,
I want Ambassador Huckabee to say one more thing. You know, when you blow the shofar, the sound is not the sound of the shofar. It's the sound of your breath. This is what God works through you. We work. We make everything here. But God works through us. And we, from Judea and Samaria, Yossi and me, on behalf of all the people, want to pray for you, that you will be the sound of God here in Israel, here in Judea and Samaria. Thank you.
And from the Bible and for the heartland of Israel, behalf all my citizens in Samaria and our citizens in Judea and Samaria, on behalf all the people of Israel and all the good people in the world, we are praying for your success. We are praying for success of the President of the United States, Donald Trump. We are praying to success of our government of Israel. God bring us opportunity to do this historical justice, build again land of Israel, and especially Bible land, Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria. And behalf of all the pioneers, behalf of all the Jews, you are blessing Israel, and because this, God will bless you. And I will bless you, and all the people say amen after. The blessing of Moses. God said to Moses and Aaron to bless all the people of Israel. יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. Amen.
Amen.
Will God bless you.
آقا خونه رو من چی کار کردم؟ And health officials in Gaza reporting at least 62 people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes since Friday. A dozen of those were killed near the Palestine Stadium in Gaza City, which is sheltering displaced people. A strike which landed near a school was reported to have killed 5 children. Israel's Defence Forces says it has eliminated Mohammed al-Issa, one of the founders of Hamas's military wing. And in a statement on X, the IDF says Issa led Hamas's force build-up, training and planned the October 7 massacre. As head of combat support, he advanced aerial and naval attacks against Israelis. The IDF and ISA will continue to locate and eliminate all terrorists involved in the October 7 massacre. US President Donald Trump has suggested Israel and Hamas could reach a ceasefire agreement next week.
Crowds in Tehran chanting death to America and Israel at the funerals of top terror leaders and nuke scientists killed in last week's strikes. Meanwhile, Israel focusing on making the world a safer place by taking down a Hamas co-founder and architect behind the October 7th attacks. Now, President Trump, hopeful a ceasefire is near, posting overnight, make the deal in Gaza, get the hostages back. Our next guest says the president knows ultimately there cannot be peace with a terror regime. Retired Brigadier General Amir Avivi has led thousands of IDF combat soldiers. He joins us now for
analysis.
2 weeks ago, the State of Israel launched Operation Rising Lion in Iran in order to remove an existential threat against the State of Israel. We launched the operation after receiving clear evidence that the Iranian regime was advancing the pace of the missile production and was enriching uranium to high levels. Iran was dangerously close to obtaining a nuclear weapon. The Iranian regime was also coordinating a plan called the Destruction of Israel, which called for a multi-front attack on Israel, beginning with missile fire from Iran and its proxies in the region, followed by a massive ground invasion into Israeli territory. This was not just an idea or a theory, but a concrete, structured plan to wipe Israel off the map. For years, we monitored Iran's actions and worked behind the scenes to delay and stop the threat. This past year, we strengthened capabilities to prepare for the longest distance operation we have ever carried out. As the threats neared the point of no return, we completed the IDF's preparations, secured the home front, and launched the necessary operation against Iran's nuclear and missile programs. We had no other choice. We targeted every layer of the Iranian threat, weakening their abilities and building up our advantages with every strike. The operation began with a surprise opening strike, 1,500 kilometers from home. We targeted nuclear facilities, dozens of senior military commanders, 11 nuclear experts and knowledge hubs, and research and development sites. By doing so, we disrupted all stages of the regime's nuclear weapons production. At the same time, the Air Force launched strikes against surface-to-surface missiles, launchers, production capabilities, and systems designed to target our aircraft. Within hours, we had achieved aerial superiority in western Iran and paved the way to the heart of Iran, Tehran. The opening strike changed the Iranian regime's plans. They had prepared to launch a much larger missile barrage at Israel than what we ultimately saw. In the 12 days since the opening strike, the IDF continued with precise strikes focused on two main efforts. The first was against the Iranian regime's nuclear weapons program, which had rapidly advanced toward a full nuclear weapon. They were enriching uranium on a broad scale and had enough fissile material for several nuclear bombs that they could assemble in a short period of time. On the map here, you can see the regime's main nuclear sites. These are the key facilities in the production chain for a nuclear weapon core. In this image, you can see the first site, Fordo, a uranium enrichment facility built dozens of meters underground and carved into rock. It was struck by the US military. The second site, Natanz, is Iran's largest enrichment facility. It has been operational for years and contains the infrastructure for enrichment to military levels. The significant damage to these two sites has removed the Iranian regime's ability to enrich uranium to military-grade levels at this time. The third site struck was the conversion facility near Isfahan. We struck critical components in the production chain of nuclear weapons. We struck thousands of centrifuges, production sites, and infrastructure. We also struck the inactive Arak reactor. Striking this facility denied the regime the critical capability to produce plutonium, another material used for nuclear weapons. The elimination of 11 nuclear scientists directly involved in nuclear weapons development was a critical blow to the regime's ability to continue its nuclear weapons program. The second effort targeted Iran's missiles and UAVs, which the regime had planned to launch towards Israel from different locations in western Iran. In recent months, military intelligence identified that the Iranian regime was taking steps to drastically increase missile production to reach 8,000 precision missiles, a direct threat to Israel within the next 2 years. We struck missile production capabilities, launchers, and surface-to-surface missiles. On this map, you can see that we struck more than 30 facilities responsible for producing components and materials for the ballistic missile program. We set back their missile production, especially for long-range missiles that directly threaten Israel. We destroyed over 50% of the missile launchers and damaged dozens of components. We eliminated senior Iranian military commanders, including the top 3, and later one of their successors. More than 30 senior commanders were eliminated. There is no safe haven for our enemies who seek our destruction. This map shows the full impact of everything I've just explained. We removed the immediate existential threat to the state of Israel. This threat must never be allowed to resurface. We struck the head and its proxies on our borders and beyond. The Iranian nuclear project was struck across all components. The nuclear project has been set back by years. The regime's weapons development and military industry was significantly damaged. Thousands of missiles that were planned for production will not be built. We delivered a deep blow to Iran's missile infrastructure. We had major success in minimizing missile fire toward Israel in real time. In addition to all of these, we weakened Iran's proxies, including Hezbollah and others. The IDF has met and in some areas exceeded its operational goals. Yet, we are under no illusion. The enemy has not changed its intentions. Through this operation, we were able to achieve our objective to prevent an existential threat to Israel, the region, and the Western world. Our capability, our determination, and our readiness to defend ourselves are now clear to our friends and our enemies. I wish to express my deep appreciation to our ally and partner, the United States, and to the commanders of the US military. Years of close coordination, built on shared values, have been vital to security across the region. During the operation, approximately 530 missiles and 1,100 UAVs were launched from Iran toward Israel territory. Most were aimed at population centers. The Israeli Air Force and Navy intercepted many of the missiles and 99% of the UAVs launched at Israel, most of them outside Israeli territory. Our defense systems significantly reduced the impact. Unfortunately, no defense is airtight. As a result of the attacks, 29 Israeli civilians lost their lives, and many others were injured or lost their homes. The operation's success cannot undo the pain and deep loss we've suffered. We remain alert on all fronts. We are preparing for a variety of scenarios and continuing to operate against Hamas in Gaza alongside our efforts to return all hostages. The mission is not yet complete. 50 hostages remain in captivity. Today's actions are for tomorrow's future, for the future of us all, our children and our grandchildren. We will continue to stand strong together, and we will prevail.
אזרחי ישראל היקרים,
That was an extraordinarily moving and thorough, comprehensive speech. But one thing was missing in that entire speech of 10 minutes. The word God did not appear once in 10 minutes. No praise to God, no thanks to God. After splitting of the Red Sea, Kriyat Yam Suf, Az Yashir Moshe Uvenei Israel Tashir Azot. Moses led the Jewish people in a song of praise to God. Hashem Ish Milchama Hashem Shemo, naming God and thanking God for his help. So much of what Israel did before our very eyes in the past 12 days plus was because of extraordinary Israel planning, years and years of intelligence gathering and people even placed within Iran, just so much, but it all could have gone wrong. There was no guarantee it would succeed. And to go and make a speech without one time acknowledging that all happened by miracle of God is just a disappointment. It's a disappointment, and it's important for us to recognize that.
12 הימים של מבצע עם כלביא, השגנו ניצחון היסטורי.
On the captions, the one word that they keep getting wrong, Lavi is a female lion, a lioness, and the caption uses the term dogs, so it refers to the Mivtza Am Kalavi, the Operation Rising Lion, as dogs, but all else is the same. It's correct.
והניצחון הזה יעמוד לדורות. הסרנו מעלינו שני איומים קיומיים מיידיים. איום ההשמדה בפצצות גרעין, ואיום ההשמדה ב-20,000 טילים בליסטיים. אם לא היינו פועלים עכשיו, מדינת ישראל הייתה עומדת בקרוב בפני סכנת השמדה. אבל זה לא קרה. כי ברגע המכריע קמנו כלביא, נעמדנו כארי, והשאגה שלנו הרעידה את טהרן והידדה בכל העולם. במקורותינו נאמר, בתחבולות תעשה לך מלחמה. מכת הפתיחה המפתיעה של עם כלביא תירשם בדברי הימים של מלחמות ישראל, והיא תלמד בכל צבאות העולם. באבחה אחת, מכה אחת, חיסלנו את הפיקוד הבכיר של איראן, כולל 3 רמטכ"לים ובכירים רבים נוספים. ובאותם רגעים חיסלנו גם את מדעני הגרעין המובילים של איראן. הם שהחזיקו בידע, הם שהובילו את תוכנית הגרעין, הם שביקשו להביא עלינו חורבן ומוות. הרסנו את מתקן ההעשרה המרכזי בנתנז, את מתקן המרת האורניום באספהאן, ואת מתקן המים הכבדים בעראק. ידידנו הנשיא טראמפ התגייס באופן חסר תקדים לצידנו. בהנחייתו, צבא ארצות הברית השמיד את אתר ההעשרה במעמקי האדמה בפורדו. תקפנו עוד עשרות מתקנים של תוכנית הגרעין האיראנית, כולל מעבדות ומפעלי ייצור של צנטריפוגות. אתם בוודאי זוכרים לפני 7 שנים איך במבצע מזהיר של המוסד הבאנו את ליבת ארכיון הגרעין הסודי של איראן לארץ. חשפנו אז את תוכנית הגרעין של איראן להשמדת מדינת ישראל בפני הנשיא טראמפ, בפני העולם כולו, בפניכם אזרחי ישראל. ובכן כעת, במבצע הזה, השלמנו את המלאכה ופגענו בארכיון כולו, והארכיון הזה ריכז בתוכו את כלל הידע של איראן לייצור פצצות אטום. גם את זה עשינו. במשך עשרות שנים הבטחתי לכם שלאיראן לא יהיה נשק גרעיני. ואכן, בכל הפעולות המזהירות שלוחמינו ביצעו, הורדנו לטמיון את פרויקט הגרעין של איראן. ואם מישהו באיראן ינסה לשקם את הפרויקט הזה, נפעל באותה נחישות, באותה עוצמה, לגדוע כל ניסיון כזה. אני שב ואומר, לאיראן לא יהיה נשק גרעיני. באותה עוצמה, באותה נחישות, השמדנו את תעשיית ייצור הטילים של איראן. הרסנו עשרות מפעלים לייצור טילים. פגענו קשות
When the caption says Tehillim, it's actually, he's saying the word Tilim, which means missiles. Missiles. So if Iran's missile production industry, we destroyed dozens of missile production factories.
במלאי הטילים. השמדנו את רוב המשגרים, במקרים רבים, השמדנו אותם דקות לפני שהם שיגרו את טילי המוות לישראל. כוונת הזדון של איראן, לאיים תוך שנים ספורות על קיומה של ישראל ברבבות טילים בליסטיים. האיום הזה גם הוא הוסר. וביחס למשטר האיראני, הנחתנו מכות מחץ על משטר הרשע. חיסלנו בכירים רבים נוספים, הרסנו מפקדות, תקפנו את בסיסי משמרות המהפכה, תקפנו את בסיסי הבסיג', פגענו בסמלי שלטון. והיום לפנות בוקר, רק לפני כמה שעות אחדות לפני הפסקת האש, הנחתנו על משטר האייתולות את המכה הקשה ביותר מאז תחילת המלחמה, את המכה הקשה ביותר בתולדותיו. חיסלנו מאות מפעילי משטר, בהתקפה מוחצת, המוחצת ביותר שראתה טהרן ב-50 השנים האחרונות. אזרחי ישראל, אני מודה בשמכם לידידי הנשיא טראמפ ולארצות הברית על חלקם בהגנת ישראל ובהסרת איום הגרעין של איראן. ההצטרפות של ארצות הברית למערכה, לא רק בצד ההגנתי, אלא גם בצד ההתקפי, זהו אירוע היסטורי. זה לא קרה מעולם. זהו פרי מאמץ מדיני שהובלתי יחד עם השר דרמר אל מול הנשיא טראמפ וצוותו. ואני חייב לומר לכם, מעולם לא היה לישראל ידיד גדול כמו הנשיא טראמפ בבית הלבן, ואני מודה לו מאוד על עבודתנו המשותפת. יש לכך השלכות אדירות על הביטחון הלאומי של ישראל, על הביטחון של כל אחד ואחד מכם, ושל הילדים שלכם והנכדים שלכם, ועל פני המזרח התיכון כולו. אזרחי ישראל, ב7 באוקטובר היינו בתהום. ספגנו את האסון הנורא ביותר בתולדות המדינה. אבל בזכות כוחות משותפים של הממשלה, של כוחות הביטחון ושלכם העם, ידענו להתאושש ולהשיב מלחמה שערה. כעבור 20 חודשים שלטנו בשמי איראן וגבינו ממנה מחיר חסר תקדים, מחיר שהיא לא דמיינה שהיא תשלם. אבל למרות הישגינו המזהירים, איננו נישאים על גלי האופוריה. איננו זכוכים, איננו שאננים, בדיוק להפך. אין לנו שום כוונה להוריד את הרגל מדוושת הגז. עלינו להשלים את המערכה נגד הציר האיראני, להכריע את החמאס ולהביא לשחרור כל חטופינו, החיים והחללים כאחד. ולמשפחות החטופים אני אומר, לא הפסקנו לרגע, אפילו לרגע, כולל בזמן המלחמה, את המאמצים להחזיר את כל חטופינו הביתה. שוב, החיים והחללים כאחד. ואנחנו לא נרפה מהמשימה הקדושה הזו עד שהיא תושלם. ולמשפחות השכולות אני אומר, יקיריכם, גיבורינו, לא נפלו לשווא, כי גבורתם והקרבתם היא שאפשרה לנו לשבור את הציר האיראני. בלי ההישגים הכבירים בעזה, בלבנון, בסוריה, ונגד הטרור ביהודה ושומרון, לא היינו יכולים להגיע לטהרן. עם חיסול ציר הרשע של איראן, אנחנו נפתח ציר של שלום ושגשוג של עמי האזור, ואני אומר לכם, גם מעבר לעמי האזור. אנחנו כבר עובדים על כך במרץ, ויגיע הזמן גם לחשוף את פעולתנו. אנחנו נפצה ביד רחבה את כל מי שנפגע, ונביא את כלכלת ישראל לשיאים חדשים. זה כבר קורה. אזרחי ישראל, שילמנו מחירים יקרים בעורף במבצע הזה. כולנו מחבקים באחווה אין קץ את משפחות החללים, כולנו מאחלים החלמה שלמה לכל הפצועים בגוף ובנפש, כמו לכל הפצועים במערכה הזאת מאז ה-7 באוקטובר. לאחרונה ביקרתי בכמה ערים שספגו הרס גדול מן הטילים של איראן. בתים רבים ניזוקו, וכפי שהבטחנו לתושבים, אנחנו נבנה אותם מחדש. אזרחי ישראל, אני מבקש להודות בשמכם מעומק הלב, לרמטכ"ל רב אלוף אייל זמיר, למפקדי ולוחמי צה"ל, לראש המוסד דוד ברנע וללוחמי ולוחמות המוסד, למפקד חיל האוויר אלוף תומר בר, לטייסינו האמיצים, איזו עבודה נפלאה הם עשו, ולצוותי הקרקע המסורים, לראש אמ"ן אלוף שלומי בינדר ולאנשי המודיעין. הם חשפו ביצירתיות מדהימה את סודות האויב. לראש אמ"ץ אלוף עודד בסיוק על ניהוג המערכה, למזכירי הצבאי אלוף רומן גופמן, לפיקוד העורף, למשטרת ישראל, למערכי הכבאות, הרפואה וההצלה שהצילו חיים רבים. וכמובן, אני מבקש להודות לשר הביטחון ישראל כץ ולכל שרי ושרות הממשלה. הם התייצבו כולם מאחורי ההחלטה ההיסטורית, והם פעלו כל אחד ואחת בתחומו ובתחומה. כולם בלי יוצא מן הכלל התעלו לגודל השעה. אבל מעל הכל, אני רוצה להודות לכם, אזרחי ישראל. זהו רגע של גאווה לאומית, רגע של אחדות, רגע שבו כל אזרח בישראל יכול לזקוף קומה ולומר, יחד עשינו את הבלתי נתפס. יחד עשינו את הבלתי נתפס. עם כלביא קם, עם ישראל חי, ובעזרת השם, עם הנצח יבטיח את נצח ישראל.
So let's talk about the operation in specific and through the analysis of four-star General Jack Keane. General, what was your take on that 45 minutes and the rundown? I imagine a lot of it you knew already.
Yeah, certainly, but that's one of the most remarkable DOD briefings I've ever observed in the many years of observing them, to be quite frank about it.
He's talking about DOD is Department of Defense. Pete Hegseth gave a briefing to the media. As you know, the mass media are just a bunch of liars. They lie from morning to night, and their sole goal is to take down the Trump administration with their lies, or what we like to call fake news. Israel has the same deep state left-wing media fake news. So immediately after the great successes of this battle and war, the left-wing media immediately suggested that the bombing of Fordo, Natanz, Isfahan had not been successful, barely had scratched the surface, perhaps set Iran back a month or two or three, versus the reality that it completely obliterated Iran's nuclear program and has set them back to step one many, many years. So the fake news left-wing media, and then they build on each other and they put it on social media for the purpose of convincing the American voter that nothing really was accomplished. So Hegseth at the Pentagon gave a Department of Defense briefing that ran about an hour. I'm not going to take our time with that, but he really blasted the media and all their lying.
Secretary of Defense obviously very frustrated and passionate about the misrepresentation of the results of that operation, and certainly felt compelled to adjudicate that and put the facts in front of the American people.
Remember, we grew up, many of us, with a sense that the newspapers, you can trust them, the news on TV, but we have seen and heard with our own eyes and ears the Hunter Biden laptop. 51 intelligence officials said it was a Soviet plant. In the end, it turned out it was what we were told it was. It was Hunter Biden's laptop. We were told that he would never be pardoned. He was pardoned. We were told that Trump had conspired with the Soviets in the first election. Hillary Clinton set up an entire lying, deceitful circuit of people stemming from a particular law firm and just working through intermediaries within the FBI. And they were all lies. And it took half a year or more with the Robert Mueller investigation until it turned out all to be lies. And it's just one lie after another lie. And as Jews who love Israel, we see how they report on the Middle East and what goes on in Gaza. And it's all lies. They blame Israel for taking down a hospital that she never bombed or anything. And, oh, you know, we've been through this. So Hegseth finally got his taste of it. And that's General, I think, Dan Kane, who's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
I haven't seen anything quite like that since Don Rumsfeld was Secretary of Defense, and at times he would take issue with the media. We were at war then, and the issues were high, and the stakes were high, certainly. And then any misrepresentation would certainly cause huge frustration like it did here. But the chairman's briefing, I've never seen quite like that. A briefer I've given briefings myself, and I've watched succeeding chairmen do briefings through the years, and he did something that was really quite unusual, and I really commend him for it. I mean, he brought this operation alive in terms of the people. He gave it life, and that personal knowledge he went out and gathered and brought that home to the American people was something I think we'll all remember. And then a couple of the facts in here are just astounding. It reminded me of the CIA operatives who were on the target for more than a decade to try to get Osama bin Laden. And he identifies an intel organization that we all know is a very top secret organization that does this kind of work day in and day out in the shadows, away from anybody's spotlight, even in the Pentagon, much less the American people. And here we had a few people assembled there, one in charge, who's been on this target for 15 years. And as a result of their conclusions, we had to develop a special bomb to deal with this target. That is remarkable. We haven't done anything quite like that, as we all know, since the atomic bombs were dropped on Japan in World War II. That is remarkable, what took place here. And we went out and tested that technology and didn't put it in the hands of our combat fighters and bombers until we actually had proven it. And I think then the details provided in terms of what actually took place at the site, how can you not watch that and understand what the chairman was saying and not come to the conclusion that everyone is now coming to, that this program is set back many years, and it'll take a long time for them to recover and rebuild it. Hats off to what we just witnessed here in terms of this operation and details supporting it.
Yeah, I mean, since 2009, right?
Compelling analysis.
מבצע חזרה הביתה היום השני.
This is a report on how Israelis were running to get back home. And it's a really important thing that I can't emphasize enough, that there might be people who would see that their country is at war, and you might think they would be thinking how lucky I am that I'm on vacation in Thailand, or I'm on vacation in New York, or I'm on vacation in wherever. And what luck that the vacation that we scheduled 6 months ago or a year ago just happens to be during this horrible war, so we're not in the line of fire. We are lucky. But that's not the way Jews think. That's not the way Israelis think. Everybody's reaction is, that's it for vacation. We've got to get home now. We have to be there. And that's something that's very unique. When you see the kind of soul of so many of the American college campus people, and you just meet people around the United States, you don't have this love of country, this love of land, this patriotism. And there's instead a sense, boy, I'm lucky I wasn't there. Israel, it's a whole different country, a different culture. As someone who lives in America, I really feel it's been so long living in a country that I'm grateful to this country for what it's done for me, what it did for my grandparents letting us in, and my parents giving us all opportunity. But this is not a country I relate to. It's not the country that speaks to me. So I'm patriotic towards my America, but this America is not my people. It's not my country. It's something that's I've personally have undergone this during the last 40 years of my own life. And when I look at Israelis from around the world trying to get back into Israel with bombs and missiles and rockets coming in from Iran, it's just so inspiring. And I wanted to share that with you as Israel shared it with their own population, watching the story unfold. So we continue.
כ-4,000 ישראלים חזרו היום בטיסות משלל יעדים בעולם, אחרי שהיו תקועים בחול מתחילת המערכה מול איראן. חברות התעופה הישראליות הרחיבו את מספר הטיסות, והערב צפויות לצאת גם טיסות מיעדים מרוחקים, ניו יורק ובנקוק.
למחר אישרתי הכפלת הטיסות.
This lady, Miri Regev, is the cabinet minister of transportation.
צפויים לנחות כ-30 טיסות, 21 בנתב"ג, 9 בחיפה, כוללות גם טיסות מניו יורק וטיסה אחת מבנקוק.
במקביל למי שהגיע מהאוויר, אוניית מנו ספנות שבלימסול יצאה היום עם כ-1,500 ישראלים.
משהו. הם חכות ממש לחזור הביתה, לתופת, לטילים. אבל הילדים שלנו, למשפחות שלנו, באמת מאסנו.
הגענו ללימסול ביום חמישי ב-12 בלילה, ואחרי 3 שעות התחילה מתקפה. ומאז אנחנו רק חושבים איך לצאת מפה ולהגיע לשלושת הילדים שלנו.
למרות שהמבצע מתרחב, בחול עדיין תקועים יותר מ-100,000 ישראלים.
בוקר שני בלרנקה, מתגעגעים לארץ. אחד החברים עכשיו נסע לבית חולים לנסות לחדש מרשמים של תרופות שנגמרו לו. מתפללים. כל הלילה ניסינו לסגור כרטיסי טיסה ולא הצלחנו. וגם עכשיו פתחנו פה חמ"ל.
רן השאיר בבית 9 בחודש 9 ואין לו צפי לחזרה, והוא כמובן לא היחיד.
מצד אחד אנחנו ביוון, שזה מקום קסום, היינו בלינדוס, ועכשיו התקרבנו לאתונה, לאזור להיות קרובים יותר לשדה תעופה. איפה תמר? תמר? רואים... הנה טו.
איזה לטו קוקו.
הגר שהשאירה בבית את 3 ילדיה, נסעה לאתונה במיוחד מאי מרוחק ביוון, ניסתה את מזלה עם כל חברות התעופה הישראליות ולבסוף החליטה לחזור ארצה דרך ירדן.
טוב, יש לנו בשורה משמחת. מצאנו כרטיסים.
הצלחנו, אנחנו שעתיים. וסירובים והצלחנו. ואנחנו יוצאים למסע חדש, מסע לארץ ישראל.
מסע חזרה הביתה.
חזרה הביתה לילדים שלנו.
אתמול פרסמו ב-12 בלילה ישראל יוציאו טיסות לארץ או להירשם לטיסות. פה לשם אני וערוצתי חצי לילה מחכים לאיזה משהו ואין כלום.
אלה כמובן רק כמה דוגמאות קטנות למצוקה ובעיקר לחוסר הוודאות של הישראלים. היום, 6 ימים מאז פרצה המערכה מול איראן, משרד התחבורה פרסם את המוקד לציבור שבו ניתן לקבל מידע או להגיש בקשה לתיעדוף מסיבות רפואיות או דחופות.
גם במהלך סוף השבוע יפעלו החברות להבאת הישראלים ארצה. פניתי לרשת ורטה והנחיתי שכל חלון זמן במהלך סוף השבוע שמאפשר טיסות חילוץ ינוצלו לטובת החזרת הישראלים ארצה.
בשבוע הבא, אם לא יהיו שינויים של הרגע האחרון, המבצע יתרחב ליעדים נוספים כמו לונדון ולוס אנג'לס. כמו כן, אל על תזכור ספינה שתניע לקוחות שלה באיי יוון, ושאר החברות הישראליות, כמו ארקיע ישראייר ואייר חיפה, יגדילו את צי הטיסות הנכנסות. כך או כך, עד שכל הישראלים התקועים ישובו הביתה, ייקח ככל הנראה יותר מחודש. קומת ההמראות בטרמינל 3 היה שומם היום בצהריים, סוג של השקט שלפני הסערה. אחרי שבועיים כמעט של חזרה הדרגתית.
This is a short report. Again, Con 11, the public broadcaster or telecaster, reporting that Ben Gurion Airport, I prefer to call it Load Airport for my reasons, but Load Airport is back in business. And for those with tickets to visit Israel in July and August, Misha Tichnen, Tisot Liuli August, for anybody who's planned flights in July and August, Yisayeh V'yehana. Go ahead and travel and enjoy. Natbag Choser L'Peilot Mleya. Load Airport is back in full business.
נתב"ג חוזר לפעול.
אנחנו נעבור לשלב החמישי של המבצע והאחרון, שמשמעותו חזרה בטוחה בשגרת מלחמה, שתאפשר הגדלת מספר הטיסות ומספר הנוסעים שיוכלו להיכנס מישראל ולישראל מרגע שיוסרו המגבלות של העורף.
בכפוף להנחיות פיקוד העורף, תוכנית חזרה בטוחה נכנסת לשלב החמישי והאחרון, שבו היקף הטיסות מתרחב ואיתו גם היעדים.
אנחנו יודעים שיש אישור כבר להרחיב את כמות הטיסות הנוחתות של החברות הישראליות. אנחנו יודעים שיש כמה חברות זרות שמתדפקות על הדלת וכן רוצות להפעיל לכאן את הטיסות, בעיקר חברות אזוריות, כמו חברות מרומניה, פליי-או, חברות קפריסאיות, סייפרוס איירווייז, כך שזה יאפשר להגדיל את ההיצע יחסית במהירות. בחברות התעופה כבר הודיעו כי ירחיבו את סל היעדים והחלו למכור כרטיסים להמשך השבוע.
כבר הלילה הוספנו טיסה ממילאנו, מווינה ומרומא, ומחר אנחנו גם נעבה טיסות החילוץ שלנו. לרומא, לאתונה כמובן, ללרנקה, לווינה.
Not Latuna, Altoona.
וככל שיהיה ניתן אנחנו נוסיף עוד תדירויות. צריך לזכור, שבוע הבא זה כבר חופשת הקיץ, יש 10,000 אנשים שגם הזמינו בתי מלון, אנחנו רוצים לייצר ודאות, רוצים לחזור לכל היעדים שלנו שתכננו לעונה, ואני מקווה שבאמת המצב הזה יאפשר לנו.
בינתיים שבו לארץ כ-105,000 דרך הים, האוויר והיבשה, כשעוד בין 30 ל-40 אלף ישראלים תקועים בחול.
היי, אני רן ואלה החיות שלי, יעל וטלי, ואנחנו נמצאים כרגע בבוקרסט שברומניה. הגענו לפה דרך טיסה של חברת אל על. ב8/6 הטיול הזה תוכנן ל5 ימים. אנחנו פה כבר 10 ימים מעבר לתאריך שבו היינו צריכים לחזור לארץ.
הטיסה חזרה שלנו הייתה אמורה להיות ב17/6, וכמובן כמו המון ישראלים בחול טיסות בוטלו.
קוראים לי דניאל ואני טסתי לצרפת עם ארקיע ב7 ליוני, ואני התכוונתי לחזור לארץ עם ארקיע ב15 ליוני. כרגע אני נמצאת אצל משפחה בפריז, ושבוע הבא אני בתקווה טוס מאמסטרדם עם אל על חזרה לארץ.
אם לא יהיו שינויים של הרגע האחרון, ברגע שיוסרו ההגבלות, הטרמינל יתמלא והישראלים יחזרו לטוס. זה כמובן בשורה אדירה לאלפים שמחכים לשמוע מה יעלה בגורל החופשה שלהם. אז שימו לב להבטחה הזאת של שרת התחבורה.
מי שבעצם תכנן את הטיסות שלו במהלך יוני, יולי, אוגוסט לחול, יכול להיערך לזה, ייסע לשלום וכמובן גם ייהנה.
Not only amid the war were Israelis coming back, but people who were planning to make Aliyah did not change their Aliyah plans despite the war, and still came amid the war. Olim, immigrants from America and other countries, were arriving. You don't read this in the news media, and it's not even that they're anti-Israel, so they don't report it. It's that they don't care. They don't realize how profoundly important such news is. It's not important to them, but it's profound that people continued coming into Israel amid the war, where the media are focusing on the missiles that got through past the defense systems and the Chetspet and the Arrow 2 and the Arrow 3 and the David Sling and things that got past. Jews were coming back to Israel to make Aliyah.
After 2 quiet weeks, Ben Gurion Airport was adorned for celebration yesterday. 110 new immigrants from France and the UK arrived in Israel despite the ongoing tensions to build their future here.
Wow, what an amazing feeling to land here and be welcomed like this. Dream come true to finally be here.
After stepping off the plane with flags waving and smiles all around, the new Olim make their way to their new home.
No, in France you don't wear a yarmulke. That's the reason we've come to Israel.
I've been preparing for 20 months for my Aliyah, for our Aliyah, and nothing would have stopped me from coming.
The flight was organized before the ceasefire. They knew what they were getting into and organized themselves within 36 hours. Most of the immigrants are families with children.
This is Alma, my daughter. She's 3 years old.
Are you even allowed to like fly?
It was really the last day, so the last day of the 36th week, and I'm in the middle of it. So it was either we had a flight this week or nothing, and we had to be stuck in Paris. This is the life we are choosing to live. So for me, war, not war. There's no Israelis mamas. They gave me testimonies of how it was to give birth during war, so I knew exactly what was going to happen if it was still the war. And in the end, I was like, this baby, I want him to be born in Israel.
We have 4 children, and we just make Aliyah with the dog. We know it's crazy, but we know where we come, and for us, Israel is our land, and we have to be there.
I really was struck by the comment a few moments ago where you have American movies that make it seem so wonderful to be in France and, Gigi and an American in Paris. And yet here you had a French woman talking about that if she couldn't get on that plane, she would be stuck in Paris. The terminology, she'd be stuck in Paris a little bit longer. It's just amazing.
And on this day, when 1-ton missiles flew here, 30 Israelis are killed, and Jews from abroad decide that they are getting on a plane and coming here. This has been happening since October the 7th. 45,000 immigrants have arrived so far.
Over the past year and a half, anti-Semitism worldwide has increased, promoting many Jews to decide to immigrate or to make Aliyah to Israel.
But it just increased. So it was already, it has already started, but with October 7th, it just got worse. I want them to be proud of being Jewish, not to hide, because that's what we live currently in France. We have to hide. We had to take our mezuzahs off the doors. We cannot say in the metro Shabbat Shalom on the phone. We don't feel really safe.
Just last night, Theo said goodbye to his family in London and began his journey of Aliyah to Israel.
Signed the documents, I got my Taudat Zahut, and now I'm an Israeli. We left the older generations behind, my grandparents, my parents, and me and my siblings, we've all moved here, so I'll be reunited with them here. After landing, you walk down the ramp, and I saw the posters of the hostages, and it just reminds me what we're here for, what we're fighting for. Like, what an amazing time to come and serve the country. It makes me feel really proud. It's always been my dream not just to come to Israel, but also to serve. And I feel like a really strong duty to protect Israel. As a Jew in the diaspora, I still feel very much part of it. And now I am officially part of it. I got my Taudat Zahut and I'm an Israeli.
Just one day after missiles stopped flying between Israel and Iran, dozens of Jewish immigrants landed at Ben Gurion Airport. ILTV's Mayan Hoffman has a story behind their powerful homecoming.
At Ben Gurion Airport yesterday, just 24 hours after a ceasefire ended a deadly round of fighting between Israel and Iran, dozens of new immigrants arrived, many of them from France. Despite the recent violence, they say they're not afraid. For them, setting foot on Israeli soil is the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. With war still fresh in the air, Jewish immigrants landed in the country Wednesday, touching down to tears, cheers, and waving flags. They chose to move forward with what they call Aliyah, immigration to the Jewish state. Some, like Devorah Shetbun, said they came for their children so they could grow up in Israel, join the IDF, and build their future here. Others spoke of rising anti-Semitism in Europe, a deep sense of Jewish destiny, and a longing to raise the next generation in the land of Israel. Doron Almog, chairman of the Jewish Agency for Israel, greeted the arrivals.
What is the motivation of Jews to come to Israel, this risky place? Unconditional love. It's something not rational.
Israel's return to normal came swiftly this week after a military campaign that wiped out top figures in Iran's nuclear and missile programs. Iran retaliated with a massive missile barrage, killing 28 in Israel. Authorities in Iran claim hundreds were killed there as well, though reporting has been restricted. Both sides claimed victory. But for these immigrants, the focus wasn't on politics or missiles. It was on a new beginning.
Today is like a dream coming true. For me, Israel is home, and I don't know how to explain this feeling, actually.
The wave of immigration marks not just personal milestones, but also a powerful message that even after rockets and loss, the dream of Israel remains alive. And for many, it's worth everything.
ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש עמו ישראל על ידי חופה וקידושין.
זה היה אמור להיות השבוע המרגש בחייהם. שמלות כבר נתפרו, אולמות שולמו והפרחים נבחרו בקפידה. אבל אז באה התקיפה באיראן במציאות שבה כל תוכנית עלולה להתהפך בן רגע וגרמה להם לשנות תוכניות. החתונה של אבנר נתניהו, בנו של ראש הממשלה, אולי קיבלה את מירב תשומת הלב, אבל היא ממש לא הייתה היחידה שנדחתה בעקבות המצב. מהסוף השבוע האחרון, אלפי אירועים פרטיים, חתונות, בר ובת מצוות, כנסים ואירועים עסקיים, בוטלו וזזו למועד לא ידוע. אבל יש זוגות שלא ויתרו. שיר ועומר הכירו באפליקציית ההיכרויות במבל. היא זו שיזמה, מאז הם לא הפסיקו לדבר. בתוך חודש כבר הכירו את ההורים, אחרי חודשיים טסו יחד לחול, וכשחזרו, עברו לגור יחד.
מתי הבנתם שהחתונה לא תהיה כמו שתכננתם? בחמישי בלילה, כשהייתה את האזעקה הראשונה כבר קלטנו שזה כבר לא יהיה, ובראשון כבר החלטנו לדחות.
אחרי 4 חודשי היכרות בלבד, גויס עומר למילואים ב-7 באוקטובר ונשלח לעזה. זו הייתה הפעם הראשונה שהם נפרדו לזמן ממושך.
כמו שכל כך תכננו את זה ורצינו וחיכינו שזה יגיע, אז אמרנו כבר נעשה את זה.
אין על עם ישראל, באמת אנשים שאנחנו לא הכרנו לפני 10 דקות, פתאום כולם מחבקים אותנו ואושר גדול, באמת.
מתן וקורל הכירו בין סצנה לסצנה במהלך לימודיהם בסטודיו למשחק ניסן נתיב בירושלים. מתן הגיע מהיישוב אליכין, קורל מהיישוב יעף, וב-16 ביוני הם היו אמורים להתחתן. בתוך פחות מיממה הפכה חתונת החלומות לאירוע בזק בבית הכנסת באליכין, בו אבא של מתן נהג להתפלל, עד שנפטר לפני 2 הקהילה כולה נרתמה והפכה את המקום לקסום ולמרגש עד דמעות.
אם אשכחך ירושלים, תשכח ימיני, תדבק לשוני לחיקי, אם לא אזכרכי. אם לא אעלה את ירושלים, על ראש שמחתי.
דנה ומשה היו אמורים להתחתן ביום ראשון, 15 ביוני. במקום לבטל או לדחות, הם בחרו לומר כן דווקא מתחת לבית בלב ירושלים.
בשעה טובה התחתנו ביום ראשון, למרות כל המצב. אנחנו רוצים להגיד תודה לעם ישראל.
שנרתם, אנחנו רצינו חופה קטנה מתחת לבית, אנחנו דתיים, לא דוחים חתונה, עושים חופה בכל מחיר, ויצא שזה היה חתונה של עם ישראל, לא שלנו בכלל, נקלענו לסיטואציה.
האירוע אולי התחיל כתוכנית גיבוי, אבל מהר מאוד הפך למה שהם עצמם מכנים אירוע של עם ישראל. השכנים התגייסו, הצלם הגיע בהתראה של רגע, והקהילה עטפה אותם באהבה גדולה. באיגוד בעלי האולמות וגני האירועים מעריכים כי למעט ביום שישי מתקיימים 500 עד 700 אירועים בכל יום. בפיקת החתונות עלייה עירום מעריכה את הנזק של השינויים והביטולים בהרבה כסף, אבל היא אופטימית.
לצערי זה כבר הפך לסוג של שגרה בשבילנו מהקורונה ואז מלחמה, וחודש מאי הוא שיא עונת החתונות ורק הרמנו את הראש ועוד פעם מלחמה. אבל עדיין צריך לשמור על פרופורציות. זה לא נעלם, זה רק מחכה לרגע הנכון, וכן, ימים טובים עוד יגיעו.
וכך בין הזקה להזקה, מתחת לחופה מאולתרת או בלב הקהילה, האירוע המיוחל אולי החליף מיקום וצורה, אבל אהבה זו אהבה, גם כשבחוץ מדאיג.
Got a peace prize his first week as president. Trump, those Abraham Accords. I mean, now we take it for granted, but when the news started coming that the United Arab Emirates and this one and that one and even Morocco were signing peace with Israel, I don't care how much he had to pay them for that, how many weapons he gave them, how much he bought them off. He got 4 Arab countries to make peace with Israel. And it was really going, and then Biden, Kamala Harris, and Blinken came in and everything dropped dead. And at the time, they said, no, we're going to do even better. But now we have the benefit of history. And we look back, and 4 years of Biden, Kamala Harris, and Blinken, not a single additional Arab country joined. And then Trump came back, and he's making peace. A lot of people are not aware of what he did between India and Pakistan. They were about to go to a real serious war, and they're both nuclear. God knows what could have happened. Trump brought peace between Pakistan and India. And now, of course, what's going on in Iran. Long story short. So we forced a ceasefire on both sides. And each of us may have our own personal opinions about whether Israel should have agreed to a ceasefire right now with Iran. And that's for another day and another time. But the important thing is that once you bring Trump in to bomb Fordo, once you bring in the Americans, they do have a say. And Trump's feeling was, we did what you need. They're not going to have a bomb again. It'll be years before they could do it. We can stop them next time around. We'll stop them as the whatever. So he signed a peace deal. And the deal is the way ceasefires work is they normally begin in 10 hours, 5 hours, this case 12 hours. You don't have a ceasefire that stops that minute. You need time to get your soldiers back, to get the word to people to stop shooting. And after the ceasefire, Iran shot one more missile. one more ballistic missile. And Baruch Hashem, thank God, it didn't do any damage. And Israel knew that she has 12 hours till the ceasefire. And you heard this in Netanyahu's speech, that in those 12 hours, Israel bombed the living daylights out of Tehran and wiped out half of the Tehran government. And the media did not even give full coverage to it because they couldn't keep up with it. Trump split a gut over that. He felt, we have a ceasefire. I took down the nuclear stuff. We signed the ceasefire. All I need is in the last 12 hours for Israel to go and kill Khamenei or something like that, and it will break up my beautiful ceasefire, my big, beautiful ceasefire that's going to get me my big, beautiful Nobel Prize. So anyway, when Trump heard that Israel fought back, he had a temporary hissy fit. And that's what you're listening to. He got over it very quickly and all, but for a brief moment, he was so upset that with 12 hours to the ceasefire, he expected everybody would stop shooting. And he didn't grasp that he still left Israel the right to bomb the heck out of Iran for 12 more hours. We continue. All right. So be ready. You've already read about it. I don't know if you've heard it. So if your ears are sensitive to foul air, just be ready for this one. We report, you decide.
The ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
U.S. President Donald Trump has stepped into Israeli politics and is calling for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to be pardoned or have his corruption trial cancelled. On his social media platform Truth Social, Trump praised Netanyahu as a, quote, great hero and condemned the trial as a witch hunt, reminiscent of the language the U.S. president used to discredit the investigation into his 2016 campaign ties with Russia, and echoing Netanyahu's own claims of political persecution. Netanyahu faces charges of bribery, fraud, and breach of trust, charges he denies. Trump linked his call to the strong...
Just so that you know, we're going to do an episode one time, mostly on that subject. Just so that you're caught up very briefly, there's a very good argument to make that Netanyahu has to be voted out of office in the next election as a penalty from the voters for what happened on October 7th. There's a very strong argument to make that way. I'm not taking sides right now, but there are many who feel October 7th, he's got to take a political fall for that. And that's something for voters to decide. And then there might be other voters who feel, let's move on. But no matter where you stand on that, Israel has an even more corrupt deep state than America has. And America's deep state, we know, ever since Trump finally came out in the open, so did the deep state. And we have seen the corruption in America. The corruption in Israel is so much worse. So in order to take down Netanyahu, since they have not been able to take him down in the voting booth, they now have him on charges of four different trials going on at once. In one trial, he's accused. Israel has a guy, Arnon Milchan, mostly lives in England and Australia, but he's an Israeli, and he's a film producer. He made Pretty Woman, the Julia Roberts movie with Richard Gere, and he made several other very famous movies. He's a major producer. America under John Kerry, during the Obama administration, the accursed Obama administration, was not allowing certain Israelis into America just because. And they weren't letting Milchin in to work on a movie. So Milchin asked Prime Minister of Israel, can you please get me into America? I'm being punished as an Israeli. It's ridiculous. You have contacts. Can you get them to let me in? I'm working on a movie. Netanyahu spoke to John Kerry, the accursed John Kerry, who was the accursed Obama's Secretary of State, and convinced Kerry to let Milchin into America. Partly in response, Milchin sent Netanyahu boxes of cigars and champagne. It now comes out as well that his son Yair, or whatever, or the other one, at that time, 10, 15 years ago, was a little boy, and said, Daddy, Abba, if you know someone in America, could they get me a Bugs Bunny doll? So Sarah, the wife of Netanyahu, asked the guy, can you also get a Bugs Bunny doll for my kid? So Netanyahu was on trial for accepting bribery and for having allowed to get or enabled this guy to get into America so that his kid could get a Bugs Bunny doll and he could get champagne and cigars. Now, no country in the world, either you're an outright dictatorship and you kill him in a military coup, or you just, what do you think? It was a freaking Bugs Bunny doll. But they're trying to take him down for bribery. They also have him on another thing where he was meeting with the head of one of the other newspapers that always gives him bad coverage. There's a newspaper in Israel that gives him very good coverage. Israel Hayom, Israel Today. And that newspaper, which is supported by the Adelson family, with Sheldon Adelson and his wife, they give it out free. So it loses money, but they have money. And it's sort of a donation. In order to keep Netanyahu in political strength, to overcome all the other anti-Netanyahu left-wing newspapers, the Adelsons put up the money for the free daily circulation of a newspaper that is right-wing pro-Netanyahu. The allegation is that Netanyahu met with the heads of one of the other news agencies and said, if you give me better coverage, I will pass a law in the Knesset that no newspaper in the country may be circulated for free. This is Israel. This is Israel. So there actually was a vote. Such a bill came up before the Knesset to ban the free distribution, circulation of any newspaper. And Netanyahu voted against it. He voted against the bill. Nevertheless, he's on charges for having discussed the possibility of supporting the bill. And then there's the most serious of all, is that it's claimed that he helped the guy who's the head of the telephone network, internet network, that he was going to slow down the development of fiber optic cable in Israel, because this guy was in internet. And there are gigantic holes in that case too. But these cases are going on, and he has to sit in court 3 days a week, answering questions. He's been on trial for years now, and he's in court 3 days a week while he's busy dealing with Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Arab terrorists in the Arab entity in Judea and Samaria, what some people call the Palestine Authority, while he's dealing with Iraq and the Houthis and Iran. He has to be in court 3 days a week. It's insane. And when Trump got the full picture, he's trying to work with Netanyahu to destroy Iran's nuclear plan. And he's got Netanyahu saying, we can't meet tomorrow. I'm in court. Well, what about Thursday? I can't meet that day. I'm in court. And like Trump is saying, we're trying to take out the nuclear reactors and you can't meet with me because they're keeping you in court. And so Trump split another gut. And he issued a huge thing calling on Israel to drop the case. But it's, who the alternative argument is, who is he, the president of the United States, to tell another country how to conduct their own corrupt judiciary?
U.S.-Israeli alliance, stating, it was the United States of America that saved Israel, and now it is going to be the United States of America that saves Bibi Netanyahu. The Israeli Prime Minister then shared the message on X, writing, "Thank you, President Trump, for your moving support for me and your tremendous support for Israel and the Jewish people. We will continue to work together to defeat our common enemies, free our hostages, and quickly expand the circle of peace." Yet it is unclear what influence the US has over Israel's independent judiciary. Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid criticized Trump's move, insisting the US not interfere in Israel's legal system. He also suggested Trump's call might be tied to pressuring Netanyahu on Gaza and a possible hostage and ceasefire deal. The calls from the US president come amid heightened regional tensions. However, it remains yet to be seen if Trump's calls on social media will materialize, as his calls for an Israel-Iran ceasefire did.
Back, I'm Austin Westfall, getting some breaking news in. This is from Axios' Barak Ravid. He says President Trump is continuing to press for canceling Benjamin Netanyahu's corruption trial and hints that he could suspend military aid to Israel if the trial continues. This is an unprecedented threat, Ravid says, in the U.S.-Israeli relationship. So let's get to what President Trump said on Truth Social tonight. It's a bit lengthy. We're going to read it. He says, "It is terrible what they are doing in Israel to Bibi Netanyahu. He is a war hero and a prime minister who did a fabulous job working with the United States to bring great success in getting rid of the dangerous nuclear threat in Iran. Importantly, he is right now in the process of negotiating a deal with Hamas, which will include getting the hostages back. How is it possible that the Prime Minister of Israel can be forced to sit in a courtroom all day long over nothing, cigars, Bugs Bunny doll, etc.? It is a political witch hunt, Trump says, very similar to the witch hunt that I was forced to endure. This travesty of justice will interfere with both Iran and Hamas negotiations. In other words, it is insanity doing what the out-of-control prosecutors are doing to Bibi Netanyahu," Trump says. The United States of America spends billions of dollars a year, far more than any other nation, protecting and supporting Israel. We are not going to stand for this. We just had a great victory with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu at the helm. And this greatly tarnishes our victory. Let Bibi go. He's got a big job to do, Trump says. We know some of that got cut off on your screen there. We had the full thing in front of me. One thing that stands out in this wall of text is the idea of negotiating with Hamas for a ceasefire deal. He says that Bibi is right now in the process of negotiating a deal with Hamas, which will include...
Well, you get the idea. We're going to move forward. It is insane. I would love one day on some Sunday or maybe this Thursday night to devote an entire class to an extraordinary movie that came out a few weeks ago by Ricklin on Channel 14, exposing the deep state within Israel, how corrupt they are. But I hate to bring out negative stuff, but I might do it since Trump put it on the news.
Continuing on.
Israel, our war crime. Okay. Glastonbury is the single, let me just get that back.
I'm Austin.
Let me just get this to the... Israel. All right. Glastonbury is the single biggest, music festival of the year. I don't know if it's like Burning Man or like once Woodstock, but it's the biggest music festival of the year in England. And the BBC, the accursed BBC, typically streams the whole thing live. Because the BBC is like PBS in America. It's the public broadcaster. The government pays for it with the citizens' taxes. And they provide the kind of programming, like think of the PBS in America or what Con 11 wants to be in Israel. And so here you have this festival, this Woodstock, and this group called Kneecap, an Irish group, was performing, and they are one of the number one or number two most anti-Semitic music groups today. And the BBC decided we will not show that part of the program. We will not put on Kneecap because as anti-Semitic as the BBC is, Kneecap is worse. But then The next group that got up to play is a group called Bob Villain, Bob V-Y-L-A-N. And so that's the background of this crap.
Are war criminals. It's a fucking genocide. Israel are war criminals. It's a fucking genocide. And it's important. Like, I know sometimes, listen, I can see the amount of Palestinian flags here and it's fucking insane. The BBC editor is gonna have some job. So sometimes we feel helpless. Sometimes we feel like we're not doing enough. And that's probably true sometimes. But the difference it makes to people in Palestine when they see people from the other side of the world, this many people screaming, free, free, Palestine! 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 Free, Palestine!
Westholt stage for the Nika performance was not streamed on BBC iPlayer, and so many people are looking for it now. That is the message that he sent out there to people. Drop a like, drop a comment, tell me what you guys think. Peace out.
This is the young generation in England, the United Kingdom. Understand who we're dealing with, but also understand that over the last 2 years of the movement for free Palestine, I hate to say that word, but over the last 2 years of that from the river to the sea, will be free. Over the last 2 years, Hezbollah has been destroyed, 80% plus. Hamas, 80% plus, has been destroyed. All of Gaza, 80% plus, has been destroyed. The Arab entity in Judea and Samaria has been substantially destroyed. Iran's nuclear destroyed. So while they're making noise, and it also is at the American campuses, the world today for Israel is better than ever. Despite 2 years of the anti-Israel movement, we hate the way it looks, we hate the way it sounds, but they haven't stopped Israel 1 ounce, 1 inch.
And if there's a better way to live, I gotta have it, because I think all day. Palestine, free, free, Palestine, free, free, Palestine.
Yeah, you know, we're here to support them. I'm glad they weren't cancelled. Their set wasn't cancelled. We're here to support them. And I think it shows everyone is here to support them.
I just think, yeah, what they stand for is so right. Yeah. There shouldn't be genocide in the world.
They're one of the only bands here that are actually preaching about Palestine. No one else is. Makes me very proud to support NECAP.
Good evening to you. Thank you for your company. The BBC decided they wouldn't broadcast the Glastonbury set of Irish band Kneecap today, I imagine, with the hope of probably avoiding any controversy. But if that was the plan, it failed. One of the bands that was shown live on the BBC today, just before Kneecap's appearance, decided they'd take matters into their own hands.
Free, free! Free, free! Alright, but have you heard this one, though? Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF!
Well, that's a punk band called Bob Villain. Yeah, me neither. Many were expecting the live feed to be cut almost immediately by the BBC, but those scenes played out live to the nation, leaving plenty of licence fee payers, you guys at home, feeling far from impressed. And breaking moments ago, Avon and Somerset Police have said they're examining the video footage from Glastonbury today to determine if criminal offences were committed during performances by bands Bob Villain, the guys you just saw there, and Kneecap on Saturday afternoon. The force announced on social media, "We are aware of the comments made by acts on the West Holt stage at Glastonbury Festival this afternoon. Video evidence will be assessed by officers to determine whether any offences may have been committed that would require a criminal investigation." Well, I'm joined now by the Shadow Foreign Secretary, the Conservatives' Priti Patel MP. Dame Priti, good evening. Thank you for your company.
Hello,
nice
Ben.
to
Good
see
evening.
you. You tweeted an hour or so ago.
The way it works in England, unlike America, or for that matter, unlike Israel, is that you have a government with a cabinet. So you have a defense secretary, secretary of state, or a defense minister, and a minister of foreign affairs, minister of transportation, treasury secretary. You have a cabinet. In England, the opposition has their own shadow cabinet. They actually name a shadow foreign minister, a shadow secretary of treasury, finance minister, a shadow defense minister. And so it's understood that if they ever get elected to be the party in power, although now they're the minority in the opposition, they have put forth, these are the people who will sit in those seats. So this woman is their shadow, I think he said foreign minister, like Secretary of State. So she's the opposition, the conservative opposition.
Glastonbury and the BBC are inciting murder and terrorist violence against Jewish people. I'm sure many people would agree with you. What should happen to the BBC then, in light of that?
I think this is just absolutely horrific, and I'm going to say this. I think the BBC need to have a good, hard look at themselves right now. Their record over Israel and the conflicts over recent years since October the 7th has been utterly appalling. They've had record numbers of complaints about their own reporting. They failed in the past to effectively call Hamas a terrorist organisation. I was responsible for prescribing them. And what we have seen today is absolutely unacceptable for what is still considered to be our national.
In Ohio later, police in Northeast Ohio arrested a 36-year-old man from Westlake in what they're calling a road rage incident involving an Ohio congressman. Our sister station in Cleveland confirmed the suspect turned himself in this morning. Faraz Hamdan brought a lawyer with him. Local police.
You got that name, Faraz Hamdan, or Hamdan. Faraz Hamdan, and it wasn't road rage. It was that Representative Max Miller is a Jewish congressman from Ohio, and this guy tried to kill him. He tried on their highway to force Max Miller's car down a down embankment. He tried to kill him.
With him. Local police say Representative Max Miller reported the alleged road rage on I-90 when the suspect threatened his family and yelled anti-Semitic slurs while they were driving. He also
that is not road rage. That's like that other Arab Muslim who shot people up at the at Fort Hood, and the accursed Obama referring to that as workplace violence.
Allegedly, he also posted a video explaining that interaction.
I've carried on my meetings, and we will not hide, and I will continue to fight against anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and all other forms of hate. You have an issue? Take it to our office.
Some pretty stern words there. The Rocky River Police Department getting some help now from the U.S. Capitol Police, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, and the FBI. And in the past hour, the Ohio Jewish Caucus released a statement about this report, in part saying, quote, "Enough is enough. There is no place for this type of violence, whether it be political, anti-Semitic, or ideological whatsoever. We believe we can solve our differences with humility, not hatred," end quote.
Newsmax correspondent Sarah Williamson, she is live in New York, joining us with
the other big story of the week, of course, was the election. It's a primary. So the Democrat primary, Zohair Mamdani, an outright vicious anti-Semite, won the Democrat primary. And in November, they'll have an election. Currently, it seems he's very well situated to win. There's different scenarios. He's running against current mayor Eric Adams, and who's on another ticket. And then there's this guy, Curtis Sliwa. He's running Republican. He may join up with Adams. And then there's Cuomo. But just the idea that the New York City, where I and so many of you grew up in Brooklyn, Lower East Side of Manhattan, the most Jewish place in America, the most Jewish exile in the world, now could have as its leader the most anti-Semitic mayor in all of America, and maybe even American history. Someone on the level of Karl Lueger of Vienna, Austria of the 1890s, who gave rise to Adolf Hitler. It's just extraordinary. She's a little bit hard to understand. She has a British accent. I'll keep the titles on.
very latest. Sarah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sean. Look, you pretty much just described him perfectly, so I don't have to do that. But let's listen to him last night after he declared that he won.
An hour ago, I spoke with Andrew Cuomo about the need to bring this city together.
July the 1st. Mamdani's viewpoints, as you mentioned, Sean, are controversial. He is calling for government-run supermarkets, rent freezes, to globalize the Intifada, and vows to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu should he travel to New York City.
Mayor Mamdani, would you welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not a signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries. Would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law. It's time that our actions are also.
Even though the US is not a signatory to the ICC?
No, it's time that we actually step up and make clear what we are willing to do to showcase the leadership that is sorely missing in the federal administration.
Now, remember, this is a guy that protested for Palestine, not against Palestine, for the day after the October 7 massacre in Israel, and refused to condemn Hamas. He also...
You got that. On October 8, he's marching in the streets for... Well, there's no such thing as Palestine. He's marching the streets for the Arabs of Gaza. And this is before Israel even responded, because the country was in national shock. So there weren't 50,000 killed yet, or 30,000, or 20,000, or 10,000. Israel did not even shoot a bullet yet into Gaza. Everyone still was in shell shock from the day before October 7, and he already was marching in the streets for the Arabs of Gaza. So this bastard now got elected as the Democrat Party's nominee for mayor of New York. It's extraordinary. It would be extraordinary if it even were in a city with a history of anti-Semitism. But the city where Jews came to America, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty, the Lower East Side, crossing Delancey, Hester Street, this is just an incredible collapsing of the exile. God's bringing us home.
Refuses to support Israel as a Jewish state. So with the largest Jewish community outside of Israel right here in New York City, there is some concern.
Mamdani was to be elected.
I'm very concerned about the growing anti-Semitism and how anti-Semitism became okay in New York City and in the world in general.
When you see that he has participated in these anti-Israel protests, what's your reaction to that?
It's honestly alarming and concerning, and I don't know why anyone would vote for that. You see what's going on in the campuses and things like that in New York. Is that what you want in the streets? I mean,
it's anti-Semite, anti-Israel, probably yes.
Do you have any concerns about him becoming mayor?
Yes, I'm very concerned.
Now, becoming mayor, he isn't quite yet. He still has to compete in the actual election, and
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I've said in a UJA questionnaire that I believe that you need not travel to Israel to stand up for Jewish New Yorkers. And that is what I will be doing as the mayor. I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
He won't say it has a right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very clear.
And his answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No. Unlike you, I answer questions very directly.
All right,
and I want to be very clear. I believe every state should be a state of equal rights.
Okay, thank you.
Democratic Socialist Zohair Mamdani may now be in the driver's seat to run America's biggest city. Mamdani
2028.
No, politics aside for the moment, to me, far more frightening and far more stark than his progressive policies and plans with no backup, his lack of experience, etc., is his blatant and rife anti-Semitism.
Yes, it's horrific, to be honest with you. And this is not just terrible for Israelis and for the Jewish community. This is terrible for Americans. Let me start with the first thing that, to me, is the most violent and the most vile, which is his whitewashing of what intifada is about. So he keeps saying that globalized intifada means something else for different people. That is not true. I have lived through 2 intifadas. I know exactly what they mean. An intifada means a violent uprising against the Jews. It means car bombing and bus bombing and ramming through people with cars. It means stabbing and shooting. That's what that means. And to globalize that means to take into America and into Western civilization what we have been through in the Middle East. That's number one. Let's take the other thing, right? He's talking about the Holy Land Five. In his rap song in 2017, he said, I'm in love with the Holy Land Five. So let's explain what the Holy Land Fives are. They are convicted criminals that have been convicted in 2008 for material support for Hamas. In 2001, the Holy Land Foundation was actually dismantled. In 2001, it was shut down. And in 2008, they were convicted. These 5 people were convicted for supporting Hamas. He is saying that he is in love with those people and asking you to look them up. So I say, absolutely look them up. That guy is so radical. He might be some sort of a Trojan horse, not just for Marxism, which is what he's actually saying, but for jihadism. He is supporting the concept of this. He refuses to acknowledge Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. He's very coy about this, right? So when he goes on national television, he goes, well, yes, Israel has the right to exist. But when asked on the debate stage, do you think Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish state? He refuses to answer. This is a terrible news, not just for Jews, for every single American and everybody who supports Western values. It's horrible.
And Lawrence, it's why it's so shocking for you and I that live here, too. This is an individual who refused to condemn the Holocaust twice. And now all of a sudden he's the front runner for the Democratic Party here. What message does this send about the landscape currently?
Well, it shows that the Democratic Party hasn't learned a lesson from the prior election. It's not common sense.
To the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
Thank you, Chair. The title of this so-called joint debate is a Christmas tree that perfectly demonstrates this Parliament's cluelessness when it comes to what's going on in the Middle East. Israel attacking nuclear facilities and military targets in Iran isn't causing instability. On the contrary, by removing the offensive and world-destructive nuclear capabilities of the repressive Islamist and terror regime of the IRGC, Israel is stabilizing the region and safeguarding the world. For you'd better believe the Ayatollahs when they chant death to Israel, death to America, and death to the West. It is their goal. It is their sole purpose. So the world should be on their knees thanking Israel for its heroic acts. Eastern European cities could easily be reached by the ballistic missiles of the IRGC. Europe should stand with Tel Aviv, the city that is now facing the enormous missile storm of North Korean technology. Europe and Ukraine should be thanking Israel now that drone and missile exports from Iran to Russia will likely come to a stop. But instead, the European Commission is investigating Israel's compliance with certain parts of the association agreement. For what purpose? Cancelling the agreement? Changing the agreements? You cannot do either of those. So what is your aim? The EU has the same association agreements with Algeria, Morocco, Egypt, and even an interim agreement with the Palestinian Authority, whose human rights standards are nowhere near those in Israel. Israel is a democratic country that upholds the rule of law and provides us Europeans with life-saving intelligence, health products, food and technology. Commissioner, Vice President HR, criticizing Israel or the Israeli government isn't necessarily anti-Semitism, but upholding the only Jewish state to different standards than other countries is. And colleagues, don't forget the hostages. Bring them home now. Thank you.
And I believe we close.
So
This is the last segment, and then we.
Thank you, Chair.
Here we.
עד חוף שנהר ואב המשחטות הישנות יעטינו תפוחי זהב
כל זה אינו משל ולא חלום זה נכון קור בצהריים כל זה יבוא מחר אם לא היום ואם לא מחר אז מחרתיים מחר אולי בכל המשעולים הריב עדר צונינה
מחר יקרו באלף ענבלים המון פעמונים של חג כל זה אינו משל ולא חלום זה נכון כאור בצהריים
כל זה יבוא מחר אם לא היום ואם לא מחר אז מחרתיים
מחר יקומו אלף שיכונים ושריון במרפסות ושלש כלניות וצבעונים יעלו מתוך האריזות
כל זה אינו משל ולא חלום זה נכון כאור בצהריים כל זה יבוא מחר אם לא היום ואם לא מחר אז מחרתיים
כשהצבא יפשוט מדף ליבנו יעבור לדור מחר כל איש יבנה בשתי ידיו את מה שהוא חלם היום כל זה אינו משל ולא חלום זה נכון יום בצהריים
כל זה יבוא מחר אם לא היום ואם לא מחר ואם עוד לא מחר ואם עוד לא מחר אז מחרתיים
Thanks everybody for being here and for staying with us for a long program today. May we have only good and wonderful news. Now, as you know, the month of July, we will not be meeting. It'll be the first time in a year and a half that we will have an extended break, let's call it. So we will not meet all the Sundays of July and the first Sunday in August, and then we'll be resuming. We'll be sending out emails to remind you of that. But all our other programs will remain. We'll be learning Tuesday evenings and Thursday evenings. Thank you so much. May God bless Israel. May God bless all of us with peace. May God watch over the Jews of New York, and may the November elections somehow, perhaps by God's kindness, turn around the other way. And whatever happens, we're stronger every day than we were the day before. I made that point at the beginning, and I want to close with it as well. Despite 2 years of demonstrations against Israel and things on the American universities and the street riots and everything, Hamas has been destroyed. Hezbollah has been destroyed. Jordan is from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. There will not be any kind of Arab sovereignty. Iran's nuclear, it couldn't be better. So all those demonstrations and all their noise, they have accomplished absolutely nothing. And we're stronger now than we were 2 years ago. On that note, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.